In this video, I'm going to outline the 9 foundational pillars for email marketing that we follow with all our clients at Magnet Monster to set them up for success. So if you're looking to scale your D2C brand and level up the retention, then this video is going to give you an insight into how we approach our work with our clients. Before we begin today, if you're new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to release at least 2 new videos every single week to help you level up your email marketing and customer retention. So every little bit helps us to grow. Now let's get into today's video. Number 1 is setting up your sending infrastructure and authenticating your domain. This is a critical overlooked first step that many people just completely neglect. Maybe this is because the concept of deliverability seems geeky or technical. I understand that. But the consequences of not optimizing your sending infrastructure before a single email is sent has big consequences for the brand down the road. And optimizing this first step has a compounding effect. When you reach the target recipient's inbox, you get more eyeballs on your strategy, obviously. So this compounds over time, and the bigger your email database is, the more of a marked difference this will make. So it's absolutely critical to set your sending infrastructure up for success from the beginning. If you neglect this step, then your strategy is ultimately going to fall short. So don't neglect it. Number 2 is not creating a single list to pull data into a centralized repository. Let me explain what this means. And this step is the number 1 thing that causes chaos inside all the accounts I look at inside any email service provider. Now, creating a single list is incredibly important because ultimately it allows you to create better segmentation strategy. It allows you to analyze your data in a more clean way, and it reduces profile duplication within the account. Managing all this data coming into multiple lists is a nightmare. It leads to poor deliverability, bad list hygiene and overall health, and it leads to ineffective segmentation and reporting. And the reason being is because it's just very hard to manage data where you're not sure where the source is coming in from. It also leads to the malfunction of flows and how you set things up at a trigger level. So it's another reason to bring all the data into a centralized repository and then segment via source. This will lead to better segmentation, deliverability, analytics, and flow building capabilities. So definitely set up a single list within the account to manage data in a clean and effective way. You're going to save yourself a lot of headaches going forward with this step. The third factor is doing a deep data dive into the account. You need to be familiar with metrics such as average order value, repeat purchase rates, when cohorts come back, when do they churn. Reason being is because you need specificity within your strategy as opposed to a generic one-size-fits-all approach, especially when it comes to flows. A very clear example of this is setting up a win-back flow, for example, with a 90-day trigger. But what if you are selling furniture? Then the buying life cycle is a lot more drawn out. It's not going to make sense to have all these messages firing at the wrong times within the customer journey. So only by understanding these key metrics can you truly know how to time your automation at the right point within the customer journey. Number 4 is creating a zero-party data strategy. Now, zero-party data has definitely become a bit of a buzzword in the last few years due to the implications, obviously, of these Apple iOS updates and the general direction that the industry is moving in. Zero-party data is essential because it helps you bridge the gap, and it's information that's intentionally given by your customers to you that you can act upon. So a couple of use cases for zero-party data: sign-up forms. Finding out the customer's interests from the very first interaction can allow you to personalize things like the welcome flow and also understand trends in buying behavior between these different cohorts of customer profiles, which is absolutely critical. Another great use case for zero-party data is post-purchase surveys. Finding out where people come from, why they're using the products as well, And that will again allow you to personalize the post-purchase communication appropriately. Zero-party data is definitely something that you want to keep on top of, even in sending out frequent campaigns to customers, encouraging them to come back and update the information. And that's going to take me to my next step. Number 5 is building out your preference center from the very beginning. The preference center is a very underrated treasure trove of zero-party data. You can find out people's interests, why they're buying the product, how they're using them, things like birthdays that will allow you to personalize future automation. I like to frequently send customers to the preference center to keep on top of adding this zero-party data in, and obviously finding out the reasons why they may be unsubscribing as well in the future is incredibly important. The 6th element is creating a segmentation strategy for broad targeting. Now, why do I say broad targeting? It's because, in my opinion, hyper-segmentation and creating all these very granular permutations is a mistake for most D2C brands, especially when you're sub 10 million and you don't have a huge amount of different products. Reason being is because you want the maximum amount of people to receive the email, so you're efficient with resource allocation within the business and ultimately profitable. So creating these broad segmentation strategies will allow you to achieve this and reduce the amount of resources that you have to pour in to your email marketing strategy to generate revenue. Number 7 is actually going ahead and creating the email automation strategy. Now, we've talked a lot about these foundational pillars. Now is the time to actually start making a data-driven strategy that's informed within a solid foundation. So you're going to want to build things like your welcome flow, abandoned cart, post-purchase browse abandonment flow, your win-back flow. These core automations should drive a significant amount of automated revenue for you. And the beauty of automation, obviously, is once you set up, it requires minimal investment. That being said, I do think it's a mistake when people set up this automation and then they never go back to optimize or look at the data. You can often find with a lot of theme updates within the store, or just generally products changing, seasonality, that things can become outdated and stale. So it's definitely worth having some QA process where you go in there at least on a quarterly basis just to make sure that everything's working as intended when you set it up originally. Number 8 is sending email campaigns to your broad segments. So tying in point number 6, now is the time to start boosting revenue, starting off with a slow or moderate cadence from all your existing customer data. So unlike automations, which are set up to run an evergreen, when traffic goes in, ultimately they start to fire. Your email campaigns are manual sends that you push out on a weekly, monthly, or daily basis. It's up to you. I recommend starting off with a slow to moderate cadence on campaigns. And the reason being is because you want to make sure as you scale it up that it's still profitable, because they can take a lot of resources out of the business and they become quite addictive as well. So you want to start off with a moderate cadence and then increase once you're sure that it increases the revenue proportionally. It's very important to take advantage of email campaigns on a frequent basis, because ultimately you've paid so much money to acquire this data from Facebook, Google, all these big tech giants, and you want to be leveraging it because it's much more profitable than going back to the social giants and pulling people in that way. The final factor, number 9, is iterate aggressively. You need to be testing everything on a very regular basis, everywhere from your campaigns to your flows, but specifically areas around sign-up forms, welcome flows, abandoned carts, and your email campaigns, where you have the most volume of traffic coming in at the top of the funnel and also the most data to play with. That can give you really interesting insights that can actually be sent back within a feedback loop to the acquisition team to improve your overall brand strategy. Very important to never rest on your laurels and think your job is complete. Start to test these core elements aggressively, derive learnings from them, and then share them with the acquisition team. This will genuinely move the needle within your business. So that's it. They're the 9 core pillars of email marketing that we set up with every single client. Obviously, it's a never-ending journey. You always want to be optimizing the account, and that's why number 9 is so important. If you have any questions or you think maybe I missed something off, drop them in the comments below and I will definitely get back to you. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe once again for a new video next week.